What's something weird, funny, embarrassing you've done on autopilot? Started unbuttoning and unzipping my trousers while I walked towards the toilet, just like I do at home because I'm efficient like that. Except I was at work and was walking through the shared office. My dog's favorite part of the day is dinner time. I pull out her food, she starts wagging and doing the tippy taps, get a scoop of food, and instead of going to her bowl I dump the full scoop into the trash can. She then just looked at me with the saddest eyes and I felt terrible, so she got a little bit extra food and some pets. One morning I was sick and stayed home from work. My wife was being really awesome and served me breakfast. Trying to show her how thankful I was, I said, "Thanks, Mom." We both just stared at each other for a second then burst out laughing. I used to work on a farm and we always took our boots off before entering the homestead for meal breaks. One afternoon I absent-mindedly unbuttoned my johns and started to take them off instead of my boots. I guess my brain decided I was done for the day. I had recently been attending a lot of martial arts classes at night. One morning at work I accidentally bowed at my boss when I entered his office. This was in the US, neither of us are of Asian descent, and yes, he noticed. It was awkward. Sometimes in the shower I fill my mouth up with water and just kind of let it pour out. Was brushing my teeth standing in the bathroom one day, fully dressed before work. I just let the toothpaste pour slowly out of my mouth and onto my clothes as if I were in the shower. Now every time I brush my teeth my boyfriend warns me not to spit all over myself. I got my license at age 25 after moving from the city to a tiny town. I was so used to walking everywhere that one day I drove somewhere, forgot I'd driven and walked back to work. Finished work, thought, oh, my car's not there, must have walked in today, so walked home. Got home, car's not there, thought, oh, must have left it at Mom's. It wasn't there, wasn't at the shops or the pool. I was too embarrassed to ask anyone if they had seen it and had absolutely no idea where I'd left it, so just kept walking everywhere for 3 or 4 days. Eventually my housemate spotted it and asked if I was ever going to pick it up. My wife says she once ate pizza at a friend's house and, out of habit, threw the crust on the floor for the dog. Those friends didn't have a dog. I was tired at the time, but sat down on the toilet thinking that the seat was up and just pissed all over the seat, floor and myself. Not a great thing to do, or clean up at 3 a.m. Oh no. I've gotten as far as dribbling a little on the seat, but usually it's freezing cold and I'm like, whoa ho ho, that's the wrong seat. Were you half asleep until you realized it was all over the floor and seat? The battery on my car remote went dead and I was late for work. I frantically pressed the unlock button to get it to work. No dice. I was like, shit, fuck, how do I get to work? Should I work from home? I'd rather not though. Damn it. What to do? Then I realized I could use the key. You know, that jagged metal thing you jab in keyholes. The key isn't even hidden in the remote. I kissed my wife's best friend. It was totally innocent and something we laughed about. I had to take a bus to work every day at about 4 a.m. My wife usually drove me to the stop so that I didn't have to leave my car there for 14 hours. My wife's friend was staying with us while she looked for a job and house in the area. She was getting up early anyways, so she decided she would take me and let my wife sleep. When we got to the stop, I just instinctively leaned over and kissed her goodbye. She had a dumbfounded look on her face, and mine instantly turned red as I realized what I'd done. I just said sorry, it was a habit. My wife poked fun at me for days for putting the moves on her friend. Most cringe moment of my adult life probably. I finally got a job as a wine consultant that I had been trying to get for years. It was just a position at our local grocery store, but our wine department was the best in town, so I was pumped. doing a great job and getting regulars at my tastings and SHIT. One day I get to do a tasting with a fairly expensive bottle of champagne, around $130. I opened the bottle and it starts to fizz over, wasn't cooled enough yet, and my instant reaction is to start chugging it because that's what you do when that happens with a beer or soda. But this was champagne. Expensive champagne. And I'm chugging it in the middle of the sales floor, while on clock, in a grocery store. Still cringe when I think about it. I had a deadline and I was very sleep deprived. I drank a lot of coffee, so I had to visit the loo a lot. One particular visit late at night, I went to wash my hands as usual, but the tape wouldn't budge. I kept turning it, yet no water would come out. So I did what most adults would do when that happens. I started crying and called for someone to check it, saying that I broke the tap in between gasps. Boyfriend walked to the sink and magically fixed the tap. I was turning it the wrong way. Was working at a coffee shop. Customer orders coffee. I pulled out the cardboard sleeve and popped it open, then poured the coffee directly into the sleeve. I forgot to put the cup into the sleeve first. My car was out of action for a few months, so I got used to riding shotgun, taking taxis, etc. Finally got my car out of the shop rebuilt and ready to go. The mechanic hands me my keys. I unlock the car and sit myself in the passenger seat while he was watching. Took me a solid 10-15 seconds and the look on my mechanic's face to realize. With a lit cigarette in my mouth and a couple of bags of groceries, I fumble for my keys and awkwardly get into my apartment. I put everything down without dropping or breaking anything and wonder where my cigarette went. I hear a loud crackling. At about the same moment I smell something burning, then violently start smacking myself in the crook of my ear, where I had somehow placed my cigarette. Driving friends to a pharmacy for hair dye stuff, turn into the strip where it is, immediately pull into the drive-thru of a nearby popular Canadian coffee shop, sitting in line thinking, why am I in line for coffee? And my friends looked at me and just laughed. We bought coffee anyway. Oops. My brain thought I was going to work and immediately took me to the drive-thru. Not me, but my classmate back in school. Before football practice started, the coach gave us new jersey to try on. So we all grabbed our jersey, walked over to the bench to change. For some reason, my friend, who was obviously on autopilot, started taking off everything. Shirt and right down to the pants and underwear. We all shouted at him, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he had that head jerk moment of realization and put on his underwear as quickly as possible. At my mom's house I saw an old pic of me when I was a kid she had framed hanging on the wall. I went to look at it and put my thumb and forefinger on it and spread them to try and enlarge it. Did this 3 times before it dawned on me. This is a regular old pic from the 80s. Not a smartphone. It doesn't enlarge. I was with a group of mates and we were listening to music. I asked my friend to put on a song and he gave me the iPad to do it myself. I was meant to go to YouTube, but I just went autopilot mode for like a split second and typed in Pornhub. I was super high and all my mates didn't let it go for the rest of the night. Once was at our family Christmas party when I went over to stand beside the couch my wife was sitting at. I started caressing her head kinda casually and unconsciously, then I walked away and a minute later I realized that my wife was sitting on the other side of the couch and I had just given my sister-in-law a very friendly head massage. I once was at our family Christmas party when I went over to stand beside the couch my wife was sitting at. I started caressing her head kinda casually and unconsciously, then I walked away and a minute later I realized that my wife was sitting on the other side of the couch and I had just given my sister-in-law a very friendly head massage.